Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna. Can you hear me well? Okay. I think that should be fine, yeah. Thanks. But Prabhuji, I was just wondering, is there a place to just hold the Bhagavad Gita? The stool for the Gita, just for the Gita, yeah? Because I can't see it there.
The only thing,
But if it's not there, no problem. That's fine. Oh, that's too big.
put it on the side. And
Yeah, okay, sure, yeah. I could do that, yeah. Yeah.
maybe you put this. Is
Yeah.
will it be okay?
No. I think it'll be, I think it'll not work. I think I'll probably just let it be. Yeah, thank you so much. I'm good. Yeah, okay, yeah. So maybe just a couple of them. Yeah. Thank you so much. Is that fine? Yeah. That should be fine. Yeah. You all have to be practical. Hare Krishna, dear everyone, and welcome to the evening Gita class. Every day at 6 o'clock, we have a Gita class, which is telecast on Manor Media. So while we do have you in person, which is great, so thank you so much, this is also being telecast in Manor Media as well. So that puts a little bit of nervousness in me because there are quite a number of audience. So what we'll do is we'll begin with a short kirtan, so please do join me. We'll do Jai Radha Madhav, and then we will sing the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, okay? Jai Radha Madhava, Jaya Kunja Bihari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha, Jaya Girivaradhari, Jaya Girivaradhari. Dhari, Jaya Girivaradhari. Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana, Danandana Braja Janaranjana, Yamuna Tira Vanachari, Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari, Yamuna Tira Vanachari, Jaya Radha Madhava, Jaya Kunja Bihari. Jaya Kunja Bihari, Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha, Jaya Girivaradhari, Jaya Girivaradhari. Gopi Jana Vallabha, Jaya Girivaradhari, Jaya Girivaradhari. Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana, Nandana Braja Janaranjana, Yamuna Tira Vanachari, Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Gokula Nanda, Radha Gokula Nanda, Radha Gokula Nanda, Shri Radhe. Jaya Sita Ram Lakshman Hanuman, Jaya Sita Ram Lakshman Hanuman. Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol. Radha Gokulanand ki, Sita Ram Lakshman Hanuman ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, Hari Hari Bol. Hare Krishna. Thank you all so much for joining. Hope you all had a blissful long weekend. And I was just like, trying to, come. I thought it's going to take me 20 minutes, but it took me much longer than that. So it just shows that everybody's like back on the streets and we are back to the real world. So today we are going to continue. So we are in chapter 12. So today we are going to be doing texts 13 and 14. So in case you do have your your phone, I can just like let you know, you can go to Veda Base. You can type in Google Veda Base chapter 13, chapter 12, and it will take you to like text 13 and 14. So it's quite easy. Just type Veda Base chapter 12, then it will take you to the page. And Anu Prabhu already has Gita, so that's good. Just let me know. You can see all of it, but then you don't need to see all. You can just see the you can just see the verse, and that should be sufficient. Yeah, you do have multiple views. So while you get that, we will we will start. And I'm just going to read slowly, and I'll ask you to repeat after me. Adveshta sarvabhutanam Maitra karuna evacha Nirmamo nirahankaraha Samadukha sukakshami Santushta satatam yogi Yatatma drida nishchayaha मय्यर्पितमनो बुद्धिः मय्यर्पितमनो बुद्धिः यो मद्भक्तः स मे प्रियः. We'll just do this one more time. Adveshta sarvabhutanam Maitra karuna evacha Nirmamo nirahankaraha Samadukka sukakshami Santushta satatam yogi Yatatma drida nishchayaha Mayyarpita mano buddhihi Yo madbhakta same priyaha. So I'll read now one sentence together and then please do join me. Adveshta sarva bhutanam maitra karuna evacha. Yeah. One. Adveshta sarva bhutanam maitra karuna evacha. Bhutanam Maitra Karuna Evacha Nirmamo Nirahankaraha Samadukka Sukakshami Mo Nirahankaraha Samadukka Sukakshami Santushta Satatam Yogi Yatatma Drida Nishchayaha Santushta Satatam Yogi Yatatma Drida Nishchayaha Mayyarpita mano buddhihi yo madbhakta same priyaha. Mayyarpita mano buddhihi madbhakta same priyaha. Now we'll read all the four together, so you can so we'll not do you can just join me as we do this. Adveshta sarva bhutanam maitra karuna evacha nirmamo nirahankaraha Samadukka sukakshami santushta satatam yogi yatatma drida nishchayaha mayyarpita mano buddhihi yo madbhakta same priyaha. Sanskrit is a beautiful language because if you can just listen to it, because this is the language of the gods, so you can really feel the positive energy. So maybe what I will do is I'll repeat. I'll do one more time. Close your eyes and just meditate on the words itself. So because this is something that Krishna has spoken 5,000 years ago. Adveshta sarva bhutanam maitra karuna evacha nirmamo nirahankaraha samadukka sukakshami santushta satatam yogi yatatma drida nishchayaha mayyarpita mano buddhihi yo madbhakta same priyaha. So now before we unpack, we will invoke the name of the Lord, and as we, for every class, we do this invocation, so please do join me. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Now what we'll do is we will read each of the meanings. So I'm just going to, so now we're going to try to understand the meaning of each word. And please repeat after me. So we'll first do word by word and then we read the translation of both the verses. Adveshta, non-envious, sarva bhutanam, toward all living entities. Maitra, friendly. Karuna, kindly. Eva, certainly. Cha, also. Nirmamaha, with no sense of proprietorship. Nirahari Karaha, without false ego. Sama, equal. Dukkha, in distress. Sukha, unhappiness. Kshami, forgiving. Santushtaha, satisfied. Satatam, always. Yogi, one engaged in devotion. Yata Atma, self-controlled. Drida Nishchayaha, with determination. Mai, upon me. Arpita, engaged. Manaha, mind. Buddhihi, and intelligence. Yaha, one who. Madbhaktaha, my devotee. Saha, he, me, to me. Priyaha, dear. Thank you so much. I think that was beautiful. I just love the way you did that. So thank you so much for that. So now we'll read the translation together. We'll read the translation part by part, and then I'll invite some of you all to read the English version as well. One who is not envious, but is a kind friend to all living entities, who does not think himself a proprietor and is free from false ego, who is equal in both happiness and distress, who is tolerant, always satisfied, self-controlled, and engaged in devotional service with determination. His mind and intelligence fixed on me, such a devotee of mine is very dear to me. So I'll read once, and then I'll invite some of you all to read. One who is not envious, but is a kind friend to all living entities, who does not think himself a proprietor and is free from false ego, who is equal in both happiness and distress, who is tolerant, always satisfied, self-controlled, and engaged in devotional service with determination, his mind and intelligence fixed on me, such a devotee of mine is very dear to me. So would anybody like to read? Or you could take this one. Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
One who is not envious but is a kind friend to all living entities, who does not think himself a proprietor and is free from false ego, who is equal in both happiness and distress, who is tolerant, always satisfied, self-controlled, and engaged in devotional service with determination. His mind and intelligence fixed on me, such a devotee of mine is very dear to me.
Thank you. Would you like to read?
One who is not envious, but is a kind friend to all living entities, who does not think himself a proprietor, and is free from false ego, who is equal in both happiness and distress, who is tolerant, always satisfied, self-controlled, and engaged in devotional service with determination. His mind and intelligence fixed on me. Such a devotee of mine is very dear to me.
Thank you. Would anybody from here like to read? Would you like to read? I can give you this book if you. Thank you.
One who is not envious but is kind friend to all living entities, is equal in both happiness and distress, who is tolerant, always satisfied, self-controlled, and engaged in devotional service without contamination. His mind and intelligence fixed on me. Such devotee of mine is very dear to me.
Thank you so much. I think that's beautiful. So I just want to share how the Gita is, Bhagavad Gita as it is there. So there are the Sanskrit verses, which is in the Devanagari script for some of us who know how to read that particular language. And then the same is also written in English for those of us who can read in English. Although it may be slightly confusing because you may have certain like symbols, like like a line on top, etc. So but there is a certain way by which you pronounce those words. Then there is a word-by-word translation because none of us really know Sanskrit. So Prabhupada has actually translated each of the words so that we can try to unpack the essence of meaning of every word. And then there is a translation, which is what we just read. Then what Prabhupada also does is he shares the purport, which allows us to understand the context and also the meaning behind this particular verse. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to read the purport, which is a page, so you can close your eyes if you wish to. And while I read this, and then we discuss this in a little bit more detail. So the purport by Srila Prabhupada for text 13 and 14, chapter 12. Coming again to the point of pure devotional service, the Lord is describing the transcendental qualifications of a pure devotee in these two verses. A pure devotee is never disturbed in any circumstances, nor is he envious of anyone. Nor does a devotee become his enemy's enemy. He thinks, this person is acting as my enemy due to my own past misdeeds, so it is better to suffer than to protest. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 14, verse 8, it is stated, Tatte nukampam su samiksh samano burjana evatma kritam vipakam. Whenever a devotee is in distress or has fallen into difficulty, he thinks that it is the Lord's mercy upon him. He thinks, thanks to my past misdeeds, I should suffer so far, far greater than I'm suffering now. So it is by the mercy of the Supreme Lord that I'm not getting all the punishment I'm due. I'm just getting it a little by the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, he's always calm, quiet, and patient despite many distressful conditions. A devotee is always kind to everyone, even to his enemy. Nirmama means that a devotee does not attach much importance to the pains and trouble pertaining to the body because he knows perfectly well that he is not the material body. He does not identify with the body, therefore he is freed from the conception of false ego and is equipoised in happiness and distress. He is tolerant and he is satisfied with whatever comes by the grace of the Supreme Lord. He does not endeavor much to achieve something with great difficulty. Therefore, he is always joyful. He is a completely perfect mystic because he is fixed in the instructions received from the spiritual master, and because his senses are controlled, he is determined. He is not swayed by false arguments because no one can lead him from the fixed determination of devotional service. He is fully conscious that Krishna is the eternal Lord, so no one can disturb him. All these qualifications enable him to fix his mind and intelligence entirely on the Supreme Lord. Such a standard of devotional service is undoubtedly very rare, but a devotee becomes situated in that stage by following the regulative principles of devotional service. Furthermore, the Lord says that such a devotee is very dear to him, for the Lord is always pleased with all his activities in full Krishna consciousness. Bhagavad Gita ki Jai. This is a beautiful verse, and what I thought we could do is, of course, I'll begin with sharing some reflections and some insights, and then we'll also have some time for some questions as well. And please feel free to interrupt me at any point of time if you do want to ask me any questions. maybe a good way to start off is, how many of you have been listening to these lectures, or would you like me to give you a brief overview of chapter 12 and what it says? That will help? Okay. So chapter 12 comes pretty much like in the middle, but it's like said, like when you have a sandwich, you have like two loaves, and then you have the cucumber, the cheese, or whatever, and that's really the best part of the sandwich, right? So chapter 12 is really in that part because that's really the essence and the best part of the Gita, and even Lord Krishna has also kept it in a way where he has kept it hidden, between like two slices of bread, if you will. And this is chapter 12 is about the yoga of devotional service, or Bhakti yoga, and uh, and the way this particular chapter, and it's one of the shortest chapters, but it's got probably one of the maximum meaning because you can go so deep into it. It's got only 20 verses as compared to some of them which are like 78 and etc. So Arjuna asks a very interesting question right at the start of chapter 12. So he wants to know who is more perfect, those who are engaged in devotional service, or those who worship the impersonal Brahman, which is called also the Brahma Jyoti. Uh, so do you know the difference between the two types of like people? One is devotees who are engaged in devotional service, and those who are worshipping the Brahman, the impersonal Brahman. So do you know the difference? Would somebody like to take a guess? That's very close. Yeah, that's very close. Thank you so much for that. Yeah, it's very close to the meaning, but it's not quite there. But yes, very close. Anybody else? Yeah,
Krishna is actually a person.
yeah.
I mean, actually, yeah, true Krishna bhakti is when you're serving Krishna himself, rather than energy or.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean that's very well captured. So what Krishna says is that there are two types of transcendentalists. Transcendentalists, you could call them as like spiritual seekers, somebody who's really finding like a larger purpose of life. I think many of us are really aspiring to do that. We always are asking ourselves, who am I? Where have I come from? What is my purpose in life, etc., etc. So there are two types of transcendentalists. One is who is engaging in devotional service to the Lord, to Lord Krishna. And what they believe is they believe in the personal form, and they are also called the personalists, because they think of God as having hands, legs, pretty much in the physical form, and that's why you see the deities, the lordships, and you see how beautiful they are. And the impersonalists, on the other hand, what they believe, as also Prabhuji mentioned, they do believe in the absolute truth, but they believe that it's formless. So they just want to search for the absolute truth for the sake of it, but they don't believe that God has a personal form. So that's really the big difference. So Arjuna is slightly confused now because he's a personal devotee because he loves Krishna, and do you know the relationship between Krishna and Arjun? Guru teacher in Gita, but before that. Cousins? Absolutely. And how are they cousins? Vasudev? Yeah. So the mother of the Pandavas is the sister of Krishna's father. So they have been cousins, and they have been really, I know they have really had, they have like played together and all of that. So Arjuna always, thinks of, Krishna as, as a friend because he really sees him in personal form. But it's only in the Gita, and that's when the relationship changes, to one of being a guru disciple, because in the second chapter, what he does is, I feel so, I feel there's so much of doubt that I have because I don't know whether I can fight with my cousins, with my teacher, with my grandfather. So he asks all these doubts to to Krishna, and that's where he becomes like a disciple, and Krishna becomes the the guru. So, and we all need gurus in our lives, to help us, show the right path. So, what Krishna says is very interesting. So, he does say that Bhakti Yoga is the highest form of self-realization. So, there are many paths by which you can reach me, but the best way to do that is through Bhakti Yoga. And there's something very interesting that I did want to talk about, which he says before, we come to these verses. So, he says that. Krishna says that fix your mind on me and engage yourself in devotional service for me. So he says that is like the best form, that's the highest form of self-realization. And what he says is that if you're not able to do it, so he gives us a backup plan. And which means follow the regulative principles of Bhakti Yoga. And do we know what the regulative principles of Bhakti Yoga are? Do we know what the regulative principles of Bhakti Yoga are? There are a few of them, but so okay, I'll just give some. Okay, so one is that no intoxication, for example. So so for example, liquor, drugs, cigarettes or something. So you're not supposed to have that because they don't really allow you to become good because they create so many evils. So that's one. Then. No meat eating, yeah. So no meat or fish eating, and we will come shortly to that. No illicit sex, and no gambling. So these are the 4 regulative principles, plus also chanting the holy name of the Lord. So there are a few don'ts and there are a few do's. So don'ts are these 4 that we spoke about, and do's are chanting, doing devotional service, doing kirtan as we were just doing. So all those are the do's. So he says, follow those regulative principles because then you develop a desire to love me. And then, even if that doesn't work, then he says, then work for me. So even if you're not able to develop a desire, work for me and I'll take care. Even if you're not able to do that, give up all your attachments to, the fruits of your action. And then somehow, you'll build that, propensity to like me. If you don't even like that, if you can't even do that, then cultivate knowledge for me. So Krishna has given us, just before this passage, he's given us like 5 reasons to, ways by which he can reach out. But what he says is that all these 5 paths you can reach to me, but then it's very troublesome if you follow any of the paths other than Bhakti Yoga. So why would we want to, for example, Prabhupada talks about the tree, and if you want, say, a tree or a plant, and if you want it to really blossom fully and grow fully, where will you, where will you put water? Will you put water in the roots, or will you pour water in the leaves? In the roots, right? Yeah. It makes sense, isn't it? Because the leaves, of course, the leaves may look fresh, but then that's not where you get your maximum. The trees are not going to really help. Not going to get any nutrition if the water is on the leaves and if there are no water on the roots. So clearly, Bhakti Yoga is more about really pouring water on the for the roots. So that's really what Krishna says. So moving on to this particular passage, so what what Krishna says is that there are 8 qualities of a pure devotee. And when I read this out, just think about also your own self and see how much of this is something that I that I am. The first one is not envious, but a kind person to all living entities. I'm just going to read each one of them, and then we'll briefly describe each. The second one is do not think of himself as a proprietor. I'll explain this in a little while. A proprietor means owner. A proprietor means a lord. The third one is free from false ego. Fourth is who is equal in both happiness and distress. Fifth one, who is tolerant. Sixth, always satisfied. Seventh, self-controlled, and 8 is engaged in devotional service with determination. So these are the 8 qualities, and we will briefly describe each one of them. Not envious, but being a kind person to all entities. So this is something that so what Krishna says is that a humble person really sees everybody as one. So whether it's a learned and a gentle Brahman, whether it's a cow, whether it's an elephant, whether it's a dog or a dog eater, etc. Any pure devotee looks at everybody as one person. And do you know why? Why do they think all of them with equal vision? Because they got one life. One life, yes.
There's Atma in every being. So there's soul in every.
There is a soul in everyone. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So we really are.
Yeah. That's how we really are. Because we normally think of ourselves as in our material bodies, but we don't realize that our material bodies are like clothes. So we wear this in this lifetime, and we are going to just discard them away, and then we move on to another lifetime with a different body. So when we are taking off all living entities, it's quite possible that many of these living entities may have been something else. So the tiger that you're seeing today, or the snake that you're seeing, or the spider that you're seeing, may evolve to a later form, because they each one of them have a soul. Now their life may be a bit small, I mean, compared to us, or it may be large depending on whether it's an elephant or a human being, etc. But then they are all living entities, and the most important thing is that they have Krishna in them. There is a spark of that of Krishna in each of those souls. And that's why it's so important for us to be kind to not just human beings, but also to all living entities. And as part of that, what it also translates into is that eating meat, because the entire thing about eating meat means that you're killing an animal to, for your own taste. So obviously that's not really being kind to them, isn't it? Yep. Absolutely. No, I think that's a very relevant point, which is why what is suggested is that obviously we do need to sustain ourselves, so we can't obviously live without eating anything at all. But what is recommended is that do it in a sense, in a mindful manner. So, for example, when you are and that's why when you come to temples, you offer prasadam, because when you're offering prasadam, one of the things that you're praying to Krishna is that we are eating this for our own sustenance, so that we are able to serve you, and please forgive us, because we are actually in a way like eating the plants. So when you're worshipping, when you're offering it as prasadam, then that means those sins, those karmic reactions get resolved. But you're absolutely right. I mean, plants also are living beings, and in a way we are actually harming them as well. Yeah. They may not have feelings, etc., but they're as much living entities, because they also have. The only thing is they probably don't speak. They don't have those feelings. They can't express themselves. But yeah. That's a very good point. The second one is do not think of himself as a proprietor, and proprietor is quite an interesting word, because proprietor means the Lord. And how many of us think that we are the Lord of the of the earth, and like all the resources on this particular planet is for our disposal, isn't it? I mean, we all think of like almost the entire world, and we say that we take it for granted. We believe that the living entities are all made for us. God has just made this entire creation for us, but that's not really the case. What we forget is that the Lord, Krishna is the overall is the controller and the owner of the entire universe. And what happens if we try to acquire too much? What if we try to acquire too much of wealth? What will it mean? What will it mean? What does it mean? What does it mean if if we are constantly trying to acquire too much of possessions, wealth? You get pride, but what are you doing? You're proving someone wrong. Yeah. Karmic reactions, yes, of course. What else? You're the doer as well. Yes, that's a good point. There's one more particular thing I'm looking for. You're also trying to steal from from the Lord, because when you're taking more than what's in your quota, then that means in a way it's amounting to stealing, as we understand. Because if somebody burgles from your home, then obviously he or she is taking something which is not rightfully belonging to him. So when we are trying to acquire too much, that means that we are stealing from God. We're also stealing from people who may need it. And a good example is, so have you seen, this flock of, like pigeons, for example, okay? Have you seen that, we throw like, grains, we throw grains and then could you just tell me what's the behavior of the pigeons? What do they do? Well, yeah, they'll consume it. And what do they do after that? So we're just having a Gita class. We will have it for another 10 minutes or so. Yeah. Yeah. Please do sit down. Yeah. So what do the pigeons do when they yes, they fight among themselves, and what happens after they have like eaten the grains? They fly off, right? Have you ever heard of? I mean, have you ever seen them like hoard a lot of grains? No, not really, right? So a lot in nature, and even if you were to look at, say, for example, a tiger or a lion, who also like hunt, etc., they only hunt when they are feeling hungry. So they don't really, they don't kill for the sake of killing. They or for the sake of hoarding, for for a future which is probably we don't know. And here, look at us human beings. I mean, how many times do we get, inundated with, is your pension pot enough to, for your savings? And do you have like a big home that's going to, like help you stay secure, etc. So we have got so much in the process of acquiring wealth and possessions, which is even much more beyond what we really need in the first place. So the second one is really around how can we really be satisfied with what we have? And how do we not spend our energy so much on just keeping on acquiring? Because at the end, we have come alone in this world. We have come with nothing in this world, and we will go with nothing. So, and if you think that, it's my home, it's not my home. It's because the materials that has been really, that has been used to build the home has come from God. How has sand come? I mean, where has cement come? Where has the bricks come, or even glass these days? Because we also use glass to, to construct homes. They may be our homes, but then they are not really rightfully our homes. They are God's homes. So can we really get God into our house rather and create that sacred space? So that's really the second quality. The third one is free from false ego. So let me ask you this question. Is ego okay to have? As long as it's true and real? Or do you want to explain that a little more?
So we think we're the body, and that's false ego. But if you actually have the realization that we are Atma, that's who I really am,
Yeah.
then that's really true.
That's very well said. Thank you so much for that. So ego is, I mean, because we hear the word ego and we suddenly have some negative connotations of ego. But ego in itself, Krishna says is not bad. I mean, it's okay to have ego. But the important thing is have real ego, and which means that have that knowledge that you are the spirit soul, you're not the body. Because the moment you say that, like I'm the body, then you're associating yourself and all your actions with this body, which is just, which you just have loaned from Lord, which the Lord has just given you as a loan for this particular lifetime. But we think that is who we are, and that's what results in, this entire thing about false ego. And how does false ego manifest itself in? So what kind of qualities come when you experience false ego? Pride? Yeah, ownership, yeah. Pride, arrogance, And those are times when you have like a very high self-esteem. So a false ego can create a very distorted version of yourself. You may think that you're God's gift to mankind, as we say, and a lot of that. So that leads you to feeling very proud, very arrogant, etc. Jealous, because you also become envious if you don't have something and if you see that the others have. It can also be result in low self-esteem. For example, if you have failures, then you're not able to cope with that. So, and that's also a false ego as well. So suppose there's a job that you have applied for, and you failed to get that particular job. You suddenly feel, oh my gosh, I don't think I'm fit, I don't think I'm good, I'm not able, I'm not this, that, etc. So you get into those moods of depression, etc. That also is a result of false ego, because you're associating yourself with the body, you're associating yourself with your physical body, and you don't realize how much more talented you are, how much God's intelligence you have. So it's difficult to really come out of that. So that's free from false ego. And the fourth one is who is equal in both happiness and distress. So, and for this we have so there is sukham, which is happiness. And there is dukkham, that is, like unfavorable. So what do you understand about happiness and suffering? Do you think we should have suffering in our lives? Yeah, we should. And why do you think we should have suffering in our lives? Yeah, yeah. For having a day, you'll not be able to appreciate happiness unless you know what distress is, isn't it? So I think that's a great point.
It's an opportunity to learn,
It's an opportunity to learn, yeah.
and also you're burning off your past karma.
Yeah, very important, because you do have a lot of karmic reactions. So it's quite possible that you may be leading a very humble life, a very good life in this particular lifetime, but you may still have a lot of you may still experience a lot more suffering. So that may not necessarily be because of your deeds from this lifetime, but it can be from your previous lifetimes. So what a devotee thinks is that whenever he or she has this experiencing, suffering, he says, I'm getting rid of my karmic debts, and I'm actually coming closer to, self-realization. I'm coming closer to God. So, and in fact, the more intense your suffering is, probably the closer you're actually going to get to him. So I think if you operate on that mindset, then I think it becomes a bit easier for you to appreciate to appreciate suffering and take it in its true face value, isn't it? So we have a few minutes. I'll just try to wrap it up quickly. Then the fifth point is being tolerant, and tolerance is again very similar to happiness and distress. And one example that's shared here that Prabhupada shares is the appearance of winter and summer. So whether you look at happiness or distress, it's like winter comes and then summer comes. There is never your life cannot be 100% happy. Your life cannot be 100% sad. So you always go through those ups and downs. Our ability is to see how we can stay calm. And if you're happy, we should not be too overjoyed. And if we have suffering, we don't have to be too too much in the doldrums. So let's try to have that equal. That's what a devotee really feels. And a devotee is always satisfied, and Prabhupada makes a very interesting point, because I think that's very relevant in today's world, because we are all so, we are all trying to work very hard. Like we spend 8 hours, 12 hours, working every day. And we are saying, I'm trying to do this because I have my duties to fulfill towards my family, towards my self, also, to fend for my old age, etc., etc. What Prabhupada says is that, and Krishna says, don't endeavor so much. Just endeavor as much as what is needed for you to really lead a simple life. But try not to be too greedy about acquiring too many positions, because in the end, you never know whether you'll be able to really enjoy it or not. So the best thing is put yourself in the devotional service of the Lord, and then you can be truly happy. Does that make sense? And do we realize how often we keep, getting into this, we work for 8 hours, 12 hours, And our life is so joyless, but can we really put more joy in our lives? I think that's the key point. Then the seventh and the eighth is really around being self-controlled, which means control your senses, control your mind, because your mind can be your best friend, but it can also be your greatest enemy as well. So how you train your mind becomes very important. How you train your senses become very important. Yeah, I know, yeah. And the last one is really engaged in devotional service with determination. So these are the 8 qualities that Krishna talks about in terms of a pure devotee. So any questions, any reflections? I know we've had a few coming in, but
I guess the only question I have is we sometimes try to accumulate because we have fears. So I've got 2 kids, for example. So,
yeah.
we used to have enough money in the bank. We used to have work coming in,
Yeah.
and so on. So when's it enough?
Okay, that's a very interesting question. So when is enough, isn't it? So that's very, that really, is very specific to the individual concern because, for example, you may have been born in maybe a well-to-do family already, so you may not really need as much of, financial needs, etc. And there's nothing that really stops you from having a very comfortable material life. Because as long as you try to focus even on engaging in devotional service to the Lord, I mean, and that's perfectly fine because I don't think Krishna says or says that you have to perform austerities, you have to stay in forests and nothing have nothing to do with life. So you can have that, but there's a very thin difference between what's essential, what's a comfortable life, and what becomes a luxury. So I think, and that's very different for each person. So. And that's where it's important to really reflect on and ask yourself. I mean, how much do you really need to be happy? Am I spending if I'm spending 12 to 15 hours, am I losing on something else? So I think those are really questions that you need to ask yourself because there's really no one particular reason. But nothing stops you from ensuring that you have enough funds to ensure that your children have a good education. You are able to invest in their home, etc. So all that is perfectly fine. So yeah. We may have time for just one question before the Arati. So there are no more questions, and I thought we can probably just recite the Hare Krishna Mahamantra maybe 3 times, and then that will be a good way to segue into the darshan. So please, join me. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So thank you so much for joining, and let's prepare ourselves to look at the Lordships for the Arati.
Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Juta Padakamalam Sri Guru Vaishnavanscha Sri Rupa Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunatanitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savabhutam Parijana Sahitam
I'm not very good in terms of the but I can just help you a little bit.
Sri Radha Krishna Pada
But you can just sing loud, I think, maybe without it. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I just without the mic. So I'm going to sing this song to Lord Chaitanya. You can follow after me. First I sing and you repeat. Iva Jaya Jaya Gaurantande Arati Iva Jaya Iva Jaya Jaya Gaurantande Arati Jai Sri Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki Jai Om Vishnu Pad Paramahansa Pairajgacharya Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada ki Ananti Koti Vaishnavinda ki Namacharya Haridas Thakur ki Prem se Gaur Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Vidagadada Sivasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda ki Shri Radha Krishna Gopi Gopinath Shamakunda Radhakunda Giri Govardhan ki Mayapur Vrindavan Dham ki Nilachal Jagannath Puri Dham ki Tulsi Devi Bhakti Devi ki, Ganga Devi Namuri Devi ki, Harinam Sankirtan ki, Samaveda Bhaktivinda ki, Nitai Gaura Pramanandi, all glorious and devotees, all glorious and devotees, all glorious Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. So we're going to pray to Lord Nrsimhadev for protection and we're going to sit down for 5 minutes.
Hare Krishna. Namaste Narasimhaya. Pralada Lada Dayani. Pralada Lada Dayani. Hiranyakashi Vaksha Hiranyakashi Vaksha Shilatankarutalaye Shilatankarutalaye Ito Nashinga Parato Nashinga Ito Nashinga Parato Nashinga Yato Yato Yamita To Nashinga Yato yato yabitato nashinga Aye nashinga hridaye nashinga Aye nashinga hridaye nashinga Narsinga Madir Charana Papade Narsinga Madir Charana Papade Tavakara Kamalavare Natamadhuta Shinga Talita Hiranya Kashipu Kanabringa Keshavadita Narahari Rupa Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Tavakara Kavalavare Nakamadhuta Shingam Talita Iraja Kashipu Kanabringam Keshavadita Narahari Rupa Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Keshavadita Narahari Rupa Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Keshavadita Narahari Rupa Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Nashingade Jaya Nashingade Jaya Nashingade Jaya Nashingade Nashingade Jaya Nashingade Nashingade Jaya Nashingade Palamara Jaya Palamara Jaya Palamara Jaya Palamara Palamara Jaya Palamara Palamara Jaya Palamara Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Guru Deva Jaya Guru Deva Guru Deva Jaya Guru Deva Guru Deva Hari Bo 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 Jai Shri Nrsimha Bhagavan Ki Jai Bhakta Prahlad Maharaj Ki Jai Jai Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bo Hare Krishna, dear devotees, thank you for coming to Bhaktivedanta Manor. There are servants of Mahaprasada in the reception room next door. Please take some before you go. Thank you.
Over to you.